I have a friend named David who collects thrift store monkey paintings.
Specifically?
Yes, he has a whole, I think he has like 20 thrift store dressed up monkey paintings. And I want to say something really funny, was that we got a hate letter to the show because they thought that this was demeaning to monkeys. Because back in the day, I don't know, London circuses, they used to dress up monkeys in little outfits and make them perform like humans.
So animal cruelty.
Right. Yeah, like this is promoting animal cruelty. But to me, it's like precious little.
No, to me, it's kitsch art.
Yeah.
I just found out that well, not just found out. So the lady who wrote September by Earth, Wind, and Fire, her name is Allie Willis. She also wrote, Neutron Dance for the Pointer Sisters. I believe she wrote, the theme to Friends. She has a vast array of, just her whole canon is crazy. But I also found out that kind of her lifestyle is the inspiration for Pee-wee's Playhouse. And right before she passed like during the pandemic, but she let me visit her house out here in California, like somewhere on the outskirts of LA. And it's like my dream house. It's literally Pee-wee's Playhouse. She collects. I didn't know there were different variations of like dogs playing poker paintings and just every toy, it's like living in Fred Sanford's junkyard from Sanford and Son, and you've seen nothing like it ever.
Wow.
And I hope, now when she passed, I believe that Paul Rubens was sort of like watching her state. I don't know what the state of it is now, but yeah, she is the one that really convinced me that like kitsch art
has
real art,
has a place in this world. Yeah. Near here somewhere here in suburban LA, one time I had a meeting with Guillermo del Toro, who's one of my obviously one of the great directors, and then he's like, "Hey, do you want to see my house museum?" And it's like Addams Family, like their house was a museum when people would come to see him.
Nice.
And we drove from this restaurant over to this house, total suburban house, like a cul-de-sac. Every house looks alike. He's like, "Come on." And he comes in this suburban house. I mean, outside just looks like an accountant lives there.
Right.
Inside is literally a museum of like horror artifacts and weird oddities, like glass eyes from the 19th century and, weird machines that you crank and they deal poker hands and stuff like that. It was.
And he's not single?
I think he's married, and the reason he has that, he had to move it out of his house, so he rented another house to store his collection.
That makes sense. I'm a cultural hoarder. I believe I have about 2 to 3, maybe 4 storage units of just everything. I collect every magazine, so Biz Markie, when the Roots first did our first major tour in the United States, we toured with the Beastie Boys. And of course, Biz is a kind of the Billy Preston to the Beastie Boys Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the first guy that, at first it was just like normal things. Like, okay, I've met people that collect like Star Wars toys and all those things. But then he came in one day and he had a Sonny and Cher doll. I was like, wait, so you just collect everything? He's like, yeah, Quest, I collect lunch boxes, games, rock'em sock'em robots and everything. So Biz actually purchased the house next door to his in Maryland, and it's same thing.
Yeah.
Like just an endless
Biz Markie Museum.
So that's kind of where.
Are you afraid of being a hoarder? Are you going to be on that show, Hoarders?
One. I'm absolutely.
You're a hoarder.
But I'm an organized hoarder. So I have most of my stuff is in storage organized. Like first it was records. I think when I first started collecting records, first of all, I grew up in a 3,000 to 4,000 record household.
Whoa.
So thus I never went outside to play. I just stayed inside and read liner notes. And that's kind of how I got immersed in the music. I'll say that at the rise of the Roots, my collection was like a normal, like 70,000.
At the rise of the Roots,
Yeah,
in the early mid 90s, you had a record collection of 70,000 records.
70,000. So
in the mid 90s.
Yeah, mid to late 90s. Again, everything I ever learned in life was definitely from the Beastie Boys, as far as like collecting pop culture things and everything I've just known about tour life or just how to run a bit. Like I first learned observing those guys.
Wow.
On days off, Adam would tell me, Ad Rock would, tell me like, yo, we're in Vegas right now, so hit up every pawn shop. There's bound to be like a 1970s Ludwig kick in there or whatever, and they would always tell me what record shops to go to. So I felt like I made it. I used to read stories of where like Michael Jackson would have what's the Toy Story that's sort of inside of 30 Rock right now, where Tom Hanks did big with the piano.
Oh yeah, the famous toy store on place with the giant piano that you dance on. Yeah,
right. So I always felt like you made it as a figure when a person will open up his establishment after midnight. So just every tour, like touring with Rage Against the Machine, me and Zach De La Rocha would buy boxes and boxes. So like on an average tour, I'd come home with about maybe 3,000 to 4,000 records, because the Roots were always just on the road 250 days out the year.
So where's your record collection at right now?
Okay, so I said a normal 70,000 as in me going to the record store and looking through stuff and I'll take this, I'll take this, I'll take this. Now we're at a weird place where some colleges are getting rid of their jazz programs, like a lot of budget cuts and whatnot. So there's
like estate sales kind of thing.
Yes. So there's plenty of, a former Alabama college that might be shutting down their jazz program and like, hey, Questlove, we heard you. We have like these 13,000 records. We don't want to trash them. You want them? And also, jukebox culture is really big down south. So what they call like one-stop shop dealers. One-stop shop dealers are the guys that would own a warehouse and they would service, one guy services like all the major cities in Alabama, Mississippi, maybe a few in Georgia. And he would just go to his spots, maybe 90 spots, and collect the change from the jukebox, and then update the records. Okay, well, we got Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran, but that sort of collecting. So those guys are passing away, and either their spouses or their kids are like, hey, we got like 70,000 45s. You want them?
Oh, damn.
And
what are you going to do with all these? You got hundreds of thousands of records.
So that's, when I tell people I now have 200,000 records, that's true. But it's also like, I really don't need like 700 copies of Billie Jean on 45. So that's kind of where I am. I just can't. I've seen many a time where I just walk past a pile up and I'll see records just on the sidewalk. Families just throw them away. So kind of now the first generation of rock and roll and, those who were teenagers in the 60s, like they're passing away now and their kids are just like, hey, Questlove, I read you like records here, and I can't say no. So now I'll say that I haven't maybe in a year and a half purchased records. Now my thing is artwork, but now there's no space on the on the wall. So
no, my wife and I love collecting art, especially a lot of Haitian art. We work down in Haiti, and
nice.
But we don't have any wall space. So then, what do you do? Right. I'm not going to have like.
So do you do it like do you
storage and then switch them around or something? I guess that's what people do.
I'm doing that now.
I'm not that rich.
I found a guy that's good with handling artwork. So maybe like once a year I'll switch out.
The Soul Boom Podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your stupid podcasts.